It wasn't your fault, what happened with Jack and Jessica. She looked down at her purse straps twined around her hand. I just needed somebody to blame, and you were convenient. I'm sorry. The words healed a broken place inside him. He let it soak in for a minute. I know what betrayal feels like. If I'd realized what was happening between them, I would have told you. I know. I'd never hurt you on purpose, Layla. She swallowed, nodded. I know that too. That was something, wasn't it? Trust was a good place to start, especially after the kind of betrayal she'd been through. It made him want to prove he was the kind of man she deserved, the kind of man who'd love her for better or worse, the kind who was faithful and true. For what it's worth, he said, I think he's the biggest fool on the planet. Her eyes came back to him, as if needing not only to hear the words, but to see the authenticity on his face. Her lips curled up a fraction. Thanks, Seth. His heart squeezed at the sound of his name. Every inch of him wanted to touch her, wanted to pull her into his arms and claim her lips, her heart, wanted to hear his name escape on a sigh. But he sensed she needed space, time to sort through her feelings, and he'd give her that. He'd give her whatever she needed. He reached for the door handle. You said something about needing a 16-foot ladder. I'm afraid to ask what for. She cocked a brow as she opened the door. He loved seeing the strength return to her face, that sassy side he loved about her. Hope you're not afraid of heights. She glanced back over her shoulder with a mischievous smile as she slipped from the cab. The moment in the truck had eased something between them. Layla wasn't sure if it was her admission that she no longer loved Jack or her apology. But the tension gave way to a light-hearted afternoon. Despite the hard work and pressure of a deadline, she was having fun, with Seth of all people. He knew when to buckle down and when to play a practical joke to break the monotony. Outside now, she stepped down from the ladder and moved back to survey her work. There would be plenty of lights by the time they were done. The roofline remained untouched. Layla had teased him about heights, but truth was, she wasn't too fond of them herself. The wreath on the front door was large and beautiful, as was the fat swag Seth was hanging now above the gorgeous leaded door. Wreaths hung from every window, the lit mason jars would line the walkway, every tree would twinkle with white lights. She tucked her gloved hands into her pockets and scanned the snowy yard, frowning. Something was missing. She couldn't put her finger on it. What's wrong? I don't know. The small yard stretched to the snow-packed street, sloping down just before the sidewalk. Its barrenness bothered her, but she couldn't exactly throw up a plastic Santa or standard yard ornaments like candy canes and peppermints. It's going to be great. Just wait till it's finished and lit. That would help, but that wasn't what was bugging her. A few well-made snowmen would fill the space, but who knew what the weather would do between now and Saturday? It wasn't the right look anyway. Something's missing, she said. Seth stepped down from the ladder and walked to the edge of the porch, hands low on his hips, his breath plumed in front of his face. She surveyed the yard again. Something big and old-fashioned. Artificial deer? She shook her head even as a new thought occurred. Of course. She swung her head toward Murphy, a smile breaking loose. A sleigh. His brows popped up. A sleigh? An old-fashioned sleigh. It'll be perfect. She trudged through the few inches of snow and stood in the middle of the yard. Right here, facing this way, lit with white lights, a garland draped around the edges, and big fat presents piled in the back seat. Unable to contain her excitement, she clapped her hands. Seth's lips twitched. And where do you think you're going to find a sleigh at this late date, little miss? Her smile fell. You're right. It's too late. Even she could hear the defeat in her voice. It wasn't something she could run down to the hardware store for. It wasn't even something Grandma's attic carried, and she didn't know anyone who had one.